Vancouver. We have a great guest tonight, and we decided to do a part two for sure. So, Samadhi Dari, such a pleasure to have you here. And we also have our co-host. We were discussing in the break that it would be very interesting to have another perspective, a female perspective, asking some questions as well. So I think that's a great idea, and I'm really happy to invite Mariam Durrani, Zora Durrani, to facilitate our interview.
Basically, I just really wanted to talk to Samadhi, so
I hear.
I was like,
true,
Michael, I
it's
think
true.
you need a co-host here.
Yeah, exactly. You leaned in.
Yeah, no, I had a lot of. I mean, well, you're very interesting. But I wanted to ask Samadhi, what does that name mean? Does the name mean something?
Oh, wonderful. Well, Samadhi mean higher state of consciousness.
Oh.
And it's my spiritual name, which has also become my legal name. Not
Wow.
in Canada yet, but in Israel.
When did you make it legal?
I assume it was 3 years ago, or 4 years ago, maybe.
And
4. I
what
think.
language is this
Samadhi
in?
is in Sanskrit.
It is. I was gonna guess that, but
Yes, and I mean, I don't know even if to go into this story, but I did receive this name, and maybe not in regular ways when people go to a person and this person say, "This is change your name to this name." I received it on a very simple occasion when I was just combing my hair after shower, and I was standing in front of the mirror, and I heard the same voice that guiding me actually through all these 15 years of my spiritual journey. It says, "From now on, your name will be Samadhi." And of course I knew what is Samadhi, and I said, I don't think so, that's a big name.
Yeah.
And I don't think I can carry this kind of name with me, and it actually didn't leave me until I changed, and it took 2 months for me, 2 months for me to be okay with that. It's not a usual name. I mean, people don't use it in India as a name, because Samadhi is also the place where people, let's say, when somebody who is religious, like sadhu, somebody is like saint, they take his ashes and then they put it somewhere, and this place is his Samadhi.
Wow.
So it's somehow related more to death than life, so nobody's actually naming the kids or as Samadhi. So it's a little bit weird for them, but they accept it. And they actually also ask me sometimes what is the meaning of Samadhi, so not everybody knows.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is the idea of death different when you define Samadhi than the general population? Like,
Oh, it's
in
not my
India, let's say?
definition. There is different definitions, because it is a person who reach higher state of consciousness.
So they do die as
So
an
when somebody
old-
died, in terms of if you're a saint or if you're a sadhu, let's say in India they call it sadhu, and you leave your body, yes, so you reach a state of samadhi. And this is what they believe, that the people who are awakened or enlightened, they reach a place of samadhi, and therefore this place called samadhi. And the people go there to sit in meditation or to share their moment with their person who died, I guess, with their master maybe, or somebody they believed in.
Interesting.
You know, and I was reading about you, Samadhi, and it's at your website, which is samadhidari.com, and under workshops, and it told about the person who delivers the workshops, which is you, and it
Yeah.
was sort of your little bio, and it said, I talked about how like a really important time in your life was when you're 29, I think it was 29,
Yes.
and you had cervical cancer,
Yes.
and well, I'd love for you to talk a little about that, because it was an important marking time in your life.
Yeah, very important. Actually, it was a year of many different things. Started from the death of my father, and then my divorce also was before that. And lots of different things, include losing my business. I was fashion designer for many years.
Oh, I see.
And I had my own business in Tel Aviv, in Israel, and having a, not a good relation with the partner, I left the business. And so it was a lot of year of changes, and then at the end of it, and in a very miraculous way, actually, I received a message that I need to go to a doctor to check myself. And really, this message came from a stranger who was just sitting next to me, who didn't know me, didn't know anything about me. It was some social meeting. And he just said to me, go and check yourself down there. And I said, what do you mean down there? He said, down there. And I said, what do you mean? What is down there? I didn't even know that person. And I never saw him also after that. I don't know his name. I don't remember even his look. But I had this moment, and he said, there in your sexual organs, just go and check yourself. And I said, okay. And I continue my dinner, and the day after I said, well, I'll go to the doctor anyhow I want to go. And he took biopsy, and initially he took pap smear, and then he took another test, and he told me that I have cancer, cervical cancer, stage 1. And if this person didn't sit beside me and told me to go to the doctor, I probably won't go, because it's not something I do usually. I don't really go to doctors. I never like to take medication or anything like that. So I went, and when the doctor called me and said, you have cervical cancer, surprisingly, because I had nothing to do with spirituality in my life, although I see myself as a spiritual being, but I didn't think in this way. I was living very regular life, business life. I look different, I behave different. And then the first thought that came to me, and even when he said it, I had no fear in me, nothing, zero fear. And the first thought that came to me, if I brought it on myself, I can also heal it. And I refused to take a treatment. And within that time, again, this voice that I was talking about came to me, and he said, you're going to India. And until that moment, actually I had a ticket to go to Canada on a business trip. I was at the time in a business, and I had a ticket. So I actually heard this voice saying, you're going to India. I literally canceled my ticket to Canada, and I bought a ticket to India.
Wow.
And within 2 weeks, I took little bag. I thought I'm going for 1 month, since I had a young boy, he that year was with his father, but still I was very attached to him. He was only 9 years old. And I thought, I'm going to go for 1 month and see what's going to happen. And I stayed for more than 2 years, really. With, of course, visiting my son, but it was a life change. And when I arrived to India, it was like 2 decisions that I took before I reached the airport even. I said, I would not say no anymore in my life to anything. I will embrace yes, and I'm not going to decide what I'm going to do anymore in my life. Wherever the energy will take me, I'll go. So these 2 things, I can say that really stayed with me for this 15 years of journey, of spiritual journey that I started at that time. And really, I met this beautiful woman on the plane, even before that, and she asked me where I'm going, and I said, I don't know. I'll see when I reach Bombay. That's the only thing I know, that I'm actually flying to Bombay. And then when we reached, she asked me to share a taxi with her, and I said, where are you going? And she said, to Pune. And I said, what is there in Pune? And she said, it's Osho Commune. You should come, you're going to like it. And as I said, I never said no again. I said yes. So I joined her taxi, and she just took me to this place. She showed me where to stay. She told me, this is Osho Commune, and goodbye. And I never saw her after that. We never become friends, anything, although we were sitting together. But she just came, she showed me the way, and she disappeared. Exactly like the same guy with the cancer. And then I met another guy who introduced me to healing, again, accidentally inside the ashram. And I said, yes, I'm going to go and study healing. If I want to heal myself, I need to know what is healing, right? So it was just a course starting outside of the ashram, and I decided to take it. And it's really led me to actually study in very high level of healing, which I discovered that was already in me for, I guess, many lifetimes. So nothing was, how to say, new to me.
Yeah, it wasn't a
Everything happens
surprise.
very quickly.
Yeah.
And the moment I decide to remember the healing energy, everything came back, and I had a very strong opening of my, whatever we call third eye. And I could see, not only sense, but also I could see energy, and in a very clear way. If even if my eyes closed, I could still see people walking around me or any kind of different energies. So I study, and that's the only thing I can say. I study, and because I stayed and I took the courses that they offered, and I felt within a month that it's not there anymore. And when I came back to Israel after 3 months, I went again because I have a sister, which is a nurse, and I don't know if you know how it feels when you have some doctor and nurses in the family. It's like everything is disaster, and she convinced me to go and check. She said it can change very quickly, you know, from stage 1 to stage 4, which is the highest stage. So I went and I checked, and the doctor said, "You have nothing. It's gone." And I said, "I know, but
And how many months?
it was after 3 months." But I felt that it actually went from my life within the first month.
Wow.
And I just felt like it's not there anymore.
Amazing.
Yeah, and that's definitely amazing, because I think it was an opportunity for me to, I mean, let's say the cancer was like a gift in this sense, because it brought me back to myself, to something that was already there in me, but I didn't know it until it was like a reminder.
Yeah.
And then suddenly everything unfolds very naturally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You mentioned the word remember and remind, and like I have a friend who always said like, you know, I don't want like, and you mentioned how you wouldn't, you're not, this the only thing you studied. So I'm guessing that you're not into studying or medication and doctors and all of that stuff. And yeah, this friend of mine, he'd say that, you know, everything, you don't need to be taught, you need to remember it.
Remember.
And you need to be reminded. And the
Yes.
word remember, I've read it in a book where they put member,
Mhm.
as if you were all different members and you just came together, remembered, and yeah, and I think that's an interesting point, that, you know, the concept that everyone needs to remember, need to be triggered in the atmosphere, in the context, in the presence of people to talents that are already there, or gifts that are already there,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
healing yourself and
Absolutely.
connecting with people.
Yeah.
So, so your time at Osho community was, how long were you there? It was
Oh,
2 years almost.
I was there almost 2 years plus, I guess, and then I left. I felt that's enough. I wanted to be back with my son a little bit, but I didn't find somehow my place back in Israel. I wanted to look for a peaceful place. I needed still some peace in my mind, and but it was a stage. I mean, first of all, I stayed, and I naturally I wanted to teach, or let's say to share with people what I learned in terms of to meditate and open your heart, and so I started doing this kind of event in my house. I started from home when I said I want to teach you the Twin Hearts meditation, which is beautiful practice, and people came, and suddenly my little room became like, you know, full of people, and very quickly they actually somehow discovered that I have a very strong intuition, and they wanted more, and they start coming to me for let's say channeling session, or the way they absorb me as a channeler or as a psychic. And I didn't put this title on myself, but I guess somehow they felt it, because the way I was guiding them and giving them feedback. and it's become big, expanded, and then I had to take another place to teach there. But something I noticed inside of me during that time, that although I'm sharing what I have and I'm very happy to do that, but that was a little bit harsh, you know. I had this Israeli soldiers like, you can do it, you know, I like, go for it, and to push, that was a little bit pushy. And I didn't like it about myself. I felt like, I don't really have compassion in me. You know, I miss this part of compassion, of accepting that person as he is or as she is. Because I wanted to push them so much. It's like, come on, you cannot see, you know. I was still not ripe to take that responsibility and work with people to that level, although I had the gifts. So I decided to go make another goodbye party, and I decided to leave Israel and to go again to a place of the unknown. And I started a new journey coming to the Bahamas, actually to New York, to Miami and New York, and from there I was invited to the Bahamas, and I lived there. I took a training as a yoga teacher too, so I lived there in this beautiful yoga retreat, where it actually really gave me the time to sit and practice myself and meditate more.
Amazing.
And I used yoga as a tool for this, to clear my channels, my body channels, and again, as I said, even studying yoga, it was like self-remembering. It was never difficult. I was always flexible, and actually for years I sat like this in Padmasana all my life. Actually, I didn't know that. So it's funny to see how actually my body was also ready for yoga and meditation, which again happened by itself. And and from the Bahamas, a new journey started, which led me eventually to Canada. Yes.
Yeah, that's why I want to know how we come to what you're doing today, and what's like about your website, everything that's talking about. And where are you now? Are you in Vancouver? Are you in the Sunshine Coast?
At this moment, I'm staying in North Vancouver.
In North Vancouver.
Yes. I just arrived a month ago, actually, from India. I was staying in India almost for 2.5 or 3 years. Yeah, and before that, I lived in Australia.
And I wanted to ask about your opinion about India. Like, it's just everyone. I mean, so many people that go there talk about these enlightening experiences, or whether they get enlightened or not, they head off there if they want to be, right? What do you think? I mean, why do you think it is a unique place like that in the world? I mean, do you think it is?
It definitely. I mean, I guess for each of us it's a different experience. I mean, when I arrived, I felt like, welcome home. This is the first 2 words that came to me. But it was tough experience. It's not an easy experience to be in India.
Yeah.
And you have to change your approach. I realized that, you know, I was very like, as a fashion designer, I wasn't looking in a certain way, and then I arrived to this chaos and dirt, and it's like, and then I told myself, you know, there's no toilets, everything's stinky, and I said, if you're not gonna change your approach in this moment, you will get very sick. So better for you to embrace, and this is what I did. You know, I embraced the change, I embraced the differences, and I definitely had an amazing experience. And yes, India is a magical place. You know, when you negative in India, everything will feels negative and be negative. It's like magic there. And when you are open and positive, suddenly like whole different scenario open up to you, and that's the beauty. And it doesn't mean that necessarily Indian feeling it. Yes.
Yeah.
It's you can be Indian, living in India, and you have completely Western mind. You know, you're not necessarily looking for the same things. But maybe the difference is that in India they embrace the, how to say in English, the people who are exceptional. They're not part of the society. And that's very beautiful, you know, they don't label you as mad, as unstable, or anything like this. Even when you are not stable, they still laugh about that and accept, and I saw it all the time, and it's so beautiful. You can really feel yourself, you can really feel that you can be who you are there. and there is more possibilities for that, you know, in terms of what they offer, if it's in terms of spiritual teachers and ancient studies and people. They have very big heart. Yeah, and for me, it was about getting in touch with Indian, living with them, experiencing them. I never looked for people from my community. Actually, no Israeli know that I'm Israeli, because I wanted to experience something different. And I never lived in a group of people like me. I like to be exploring where I am, whether if I live in here in Canada or in India or in Israel. I'm Israeli and I'm in India, so I enjoy the Indian. Yeah, and same here in Canada. I don't look for the Jewish community necessarily to be with.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Yeah.
It's great because, like, if you're not using sort of like labels and boundaries, then you can experience a lot more.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and it sounds like
Yeah.
you're saying that if when you're not accepting it, often can even cause health issues because
Absolutely.
so one of the
Yeah.
keys can just be that.
Definitely, and I saw it happens. You know, when I arrived Dharamsala for the first time in India, I didn't like the place. Surprisingly, I didn't like it, and I always thought like one day I will reach Dharamsala and I would love it because it's very beautiful, no, over there. And I reached, and I really didn't like it. I didn't like the Tibetan culture. I didn't like being around that culture, and so I had this something negative in me. It's like I want to live. I don't want to stay here. And I got so sick, you know, after so many years in India. I got like food poisoning, eating in the best restaurant, having salad. And I could see I was like dead for 5 days. It was such a hilarious moment. And I realized, oh, you cannot be negative. It just came to me and it was painful. Very painful. I mean, I don't wish it to anybody to get food poisoning.
Yeah.
Can bring up
It's like, I don't even want to describe it. Yeah, so definitely you have to. The life there is so challenging for people from the West. You know, we used to have everything so easy, so available, so clean. You know, we can drink water from the tap. I don't drink water in India from the tap, or even brush my teeth for years. So it's definitely a different lifestyle, and you
But
need to
they'll know-
adjust to it.
But you'll know what local bark or twig you can use to brush your teeth with.
Yeah.
Smati, I wonder, like, we're not in a workshop with you, but is there anything we can do with you right here? Like anything that kind of gives us an idea of what it's like in a workshop with you? Because, you know, we've talked with you and we know, like, what you do in your workshop. I mean, we know what the workshops are about. Yeah, but but is there anything we can do with you, like an exercise, anything right now? That's
Exercise.
short? Not getting up or anything. Well, I don't know. I guess I just want to see if we can, anything that's activity, I guess.
Every activity
the
will
table.
force you to leave the table.
Well, you guys, when the show's done, we can do an activity.
Yeah.
You all might miss out.
And that's the things. I mean, I not necessarily come ready-made with activities. If I work with both of you, for example,
There we
or I
go.
work with you, I sense you in the moment, and I use that. And I think this is something I did wrote on my website, asking different people that I work with, what is your experience with me? How, in your opinion, I work? You know, what you're getting from me? Because I'm very intuitive. I'm not coming with, it's like I'm coming with a box with full of tools, but I have no idea what I'm going to use, and I don't even know that they're there.
Yeah.
I know that somewhere there is something, and maybe it will come to me, maybe not. It's like I'm just available. I completely see myself as an instrument. I don't see myself as anything else. If I can label myself, I would say just an instrument. And every time I connect to my own higher self or to my own God of understanding, I said, God, make me an instrument of your peace. And this is how I start every workshop, every session, every time I teach anything or share anything or experience anything, because I do see myself only as an instrument. And it's not because I'm saying it intellectually, it's because I experienced myself as an instrument. So it's beyond me. This body is just a vehicle. And many people can say it as a concept. I'm a vehicle, but I definitely feel like I'm carrying this vehicle. So if it's in terms of teaching or sharing with people how to use their vehicle, in terms of the physicality, in terms of their mind, how they use their thoughts, what they're saying, what words they're using.
So we can bring anything to you that we want to work on.
Anything. This is what I said. It's a huge toolbox. When you open up to this kind of vast consciousness, everything is available. Everything. And when I work with you individually or in the group, I get the permission, which I don't do it if I'm not in the sessions, because it's not my right to enter into your brain or into his brain or into your mind and withdraw material from there. And I'm not interested to do that because it's actually very painful for me. Naturally, I had it for many, many years since I was very young. But then I didn't want to be in company with many people because it was very painful for me to absorb so much information. So I learned to balance it, and I learned to close these doors when I don't need it and open it when I need it. And when I need it in a session, when somebody is giving it permission. But I always work with your higher consciousness. I always work with your potential, with who you really are. And as I say to people, maybe you don't see this sometimes in you because you don't understand the language of your higher consciousness. So I'm just helping you to understand this language. Is what is the message there for you? So in this way, you are the cause that I'm here. Right? This is why I told you I cannot come ready-made. You are the one who is inspiring me to speak. And if you've been maybe closed or or not interested, I would feel it, and maybe I will also close myself. Because you are my inspiration in that moment, in this moment. And this is how I work with people. So I label it because I need to in this world, but it's much more than labeling, actually. And I'm very honored. I'm very grateful. Very, very grateful for everything.
We're grateful right now.
Yeah.
To be inspiring.
Totally
as well.
feeling that grateful vibe right now. Because you've shared so many amazing insights, and just your gift, I think, is something that a lot of people can really get a lot from, and I think we all need to look at that higher level of consciousness.
Yeah, and you don't
live there.
You don't get to work with people that are gonna work on that level with you.
Which is your true self, basically. When you talk
Yeah.
about higher consciousness, you're talking about your true self. It's you.
And
It's
that's
nothing to do with me. Who am I to call myself a teacher even?
Yeah. Well, I thought of a couple of things, like when you heard that voice say, your name is Samadhi. It reminds me of this line in I think it's in the Quran, but it's about the messenger, right? That the hardest thing for the messenger is that messenger will be idolized and the message won't be heard, or that they will be thinking of themselves as this big thing. So the biggest challenge for the messenger is themselves, in a way, and whether their community is going to put them on a pedestal and then try to get an answer to everything, instead of actually working with you. And I can see that that's not a challenge for you.
Such a good point, what you're saying. Such
But
an important point.
And what was the other thing I was thinking about with that? Oh yes, my grandma. When I was young, my grandma would take care of me a lot because my mom she was an activist and a journalist in Pakistan. And so when I would wake up, my grandma would ask me, "What did you dream last night?" I would sit at the table, and she just by asking me that, she let me know that dream is important. And that there's this other world, or this other dimension, or there's this deeper self in us, And then she would try to, dissect the dream, or kind of, all this other stuff. But that time I had with her, that we should have that time with each other all the time. It's a learning thing. It's putting attention onto things that we're told in the material world that they actually don't exist. Like stories that when I was a kid, my grandma told me that a few nice things about me, that as if I was a psychic, you know. But I don't. It's like the further away I get from it, the more it's like it's fiction, because the world around me is supporting, like it's not really supporting that those things exist.
Yeah,
You know.
yeah.
So.
Because you have to get out of this box in order to see what is there, you know. If you're living in a box of
Yes.
what the society is telling you, this is who you are, they want to label you, right? They want to put you in a certain way to say this is a normal person.
Yeah.
But when you get out of the box, then you can really experience the vastness of who you are. And this is what I like when we talk about India. They allow you to experience that. You can be completely crazy and it's absolutely fine. And it's so wonderful because you do need to experience yourself. You do need to explore who you are.
Yeah.
Especially you're getting so much information all your life, you know, about people telling you who you are, how you should be, what you should do, what you should study, and blah, 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 blah. And suddenly you say, okay, I want to just to break all this box. I want to get out of this box and see who I am. And it's so simple, who I am. And I have to say, honestly, I've been very blessed because I met, and the moment I open up for that, really, when I decide to open up and say yes, you know, to life, I had lots of beautiful people on the path, which some of them awaken, you know, that came to me and they gave me the greatest gift. I never searched for them. They came when I was ready. And this is the second journey in India in 2007. It was like amazing. When I came first time to India in 2000, I wanted so much to find a live master, you know. And I could not find anywhere. I was actually traveling and searching. I want to find a live master, but I couldn't find. And I couldn't find also somebody who can replace Osho in any way, even though Osho was not in his body. But the message was so, I mean, touching for me. Because one thing he said, I'm here to free the individual. And it's opened my heart completely because this is how I felt all my life. I want to be free. So he was not there to control me. You know, he wasn't there to tell me who I am. He was there to free me. And he showed me that even, and it's completely, I mean, I don't know if we're going to go through this, but he showed me absolutely that he was there with me, even not in a physical body. And it taught me a lot about trust. And it really came to me, and I'm not talking about physical, you know, and the hardest moment of my life, and he guided me, and he showed me that he's there all the time with me because I chose him as my master. I chose him as my guru. And it was amazing. So I understood that I never needed to look for any other guru. And what he told me, that you don't need a guru, you know. You need to trust yourself. Everything is in you. I'm here to remind you that. And he did.
And that we can't do it alone. We need each other.
I mean, most important that we are connected, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, this moment is not created by me. It's created by all of us. And even by the 2 people or 3 people who are sitting here with us. We create this moment. I cannot take credit on it. Because then it's become I and it's become the ego.
Exactly.
Right? It's like as if I did something. I'm just being available, like as you are.
It's really great though to hear how you can sort of bring it home that way all the time. I love the perspective because I like to think that, you know, I spend more time in a higher consciousness. I like to think, but often when reality hits us, I'm down there all the time. But it's really nice to hear your perspective, and it's super valuable just to even talk and to hear this outlook. It's fascinating and
Thank you.
It's relaxing to talk on this level about these things. But we're running out of time.
Yes.
So
I would like to say something last,
please.
if I may, because it's coming to me right now, that I was thinking if I had the one message actually to say to people, is that, and I always said it, it's not something new to me, but I do want to say that it's really all about all this spiritual journey, any kind of journey that we take in our life towards ourselves. It's always about self-love and acceptance of who you are. in this moment. Because when you remember that this is the moment, you also open yourself to the possibility of change. Yes? Because we are not the same every moment.
That's true.
And for me, this is the message I'm trying to bring to people, and also to help them, to guide them to get there by themselves. Not to do it for them, just to inspire
Yeah.
and to share my journey.
Oh, very inspiring journey.
Thank you so much.
No,
That
thank
was so
you.
great.
Cheers.
Salute.
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 Thank you so much
Thank
again.
you.
And thanks to you, everybody there for joining us.
It's been super fun.
And again, I wish you all the best with this show.
Yes, thank you,
Right?
and all the best too for your practice too. I'm definitely going to highly recommend you, and make sure that we get your website up there.
SamadhiDari.com in the house.
I did start
the
teaching a
Lowdown Show.
meditation in the Lynn Valley.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
yeah. Like,
yes.
do you have any classes that are coming up right
I
now?
started today.
Oh,
I
nice.
will start teaching people, and I mean, I was away, but I just came today, and it was one person there, and I said I'm going to do it as long as people wants to come. And this is my service. Actually, I do it by donation or even for free. There's no obligation for people to come and feel, because I never wanted to charge for teaching this part of life,
Yeah.
how to meditate and what is the nature of meditation.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
That's
let's
great.
see. I don't know if we can spread that, but it's
Yes.
definitely something I enjoy doing.
That's
great.
awesome.
Yeah.
Very good.